you've been given a lot of information by Google, and you would be foolish not to use that information. When your views go up, when your views go down, where they're coming from, how long they stay, which is a huge metric to be able to see when people are leaving your videos. But you can also take it too far. You can obsess over those things and forget what your true purpose is, making videos for YouTube. And if you spend all day in your analytics, you can find yourself obsessing over things and second-guessing things when really you should just be out making videos. Analytics are important, ignoring them is foolish, but obsessing over them like anything else will just make you crazy. I think somewhere in the middle is probably a good, healthy perspective.
How can analytics help? Well, it certainly cannot hurt. I spent my career as a content and data architect managing hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of assets and interactions. Data is the key to everything in life. Without it, and without understanding the data, you cannot achieve your goals. Seriously, the most important thing, data. And that's what analytics gives you. Now, why is it useful? Well, it can show you who's watching, where they're watching from, what device they're watching on, and most importantly, how they behave when they watch. Now, some of the data is nice to have and just not very useful, but interesting. And other pieces of data are very, very critical. Now, the harm can come in when you don't understand what the metric is, or you think you know what it is, and paying attention to the metrics that don't really matter. You want to create awesome things and publish them and hope the audience comes. The metrics will hint at what people like and hint at what they don't like. And you have to interpret that. And if you get really good at it, you could end up changing your content to meet the mass appeal. And that could hurt you. That's a much bigger argument and a much bigger conversation to have. One final thing is Google the term Blue's Clues stickiness factor, and you'll see a clip from, or an excerpt from the book The Tipping Point, where they talk about where Sesame Street left off and how Blue's Clues is superior. That team on Blue's Clues was all PhDs from the behavioral sciences, and they spent a huge amount of time, money, and dollars to get the analytics that they needed, that YouTube just gives you for free. And then they used that data to make that show the stickiest show ever. And sticky is a term the television industry coined that means you follow the content from beginning to end and you don't drop off. They nailed it. And you'll see why watch time and stickiness factor, in my opinion and in Google's opinion, is the most important thing as far as YouTube is concerned.
Paying attention to your analytics is extremely important. It can help you learn your audience retention, your demographics, how your annotations are doing, and much, much more. But what I wanted to drive through with this side of things is how it can also harm you. You don't want to spend too much time in your analytics because it can actually become quite addicting. You do not want to spend all day, every day, obsessing over your numbers and staring at your analytics and staring at your subscribers and the exact moments they've popped up and dropped off. It will drive you insane. Find a healthy balance to that. Don't just stare at the analytics. Pick some key parts of the analytics that you can really use and use them to your advantage.
I think paying attention to your analytics for the most part is probably going to help you more than it's going to hurt you. Help you in the sense that you can get to know your audience better, what they like, the length of videos that they enjoy. Just really anything about your audience is where you're going to get the most help. Hurting you, maybe focusing too much on your analytics and not so much on the content you create. You can get a lot of valuable information from your analytics, but you need to actually go put those things that you get from it into practice and actually do the things that or correct the things that you're learning from it.
I'll answer the most important pieces of information with the most important piece of information. There's one analytic that I think is far superior than all others, and that's the watch time. What you'll want to do is dig down into the watch time for a specific video and then see the graph progress forward in time where people drop off. If there's a spike downward, look at what you were doing in that video when it spiked downward. Do the opposite. If it spiked upwards, what were you doing at that moment? That's what you want to pay attention to, because that's what the audience is reacting to your particular video. Super valuable. That's the one you want to pay attention to above all others, is watch time. Also, Google loves watch time. They are crazy about that one single metric. And it's ideal if people watch from beginning to end. So, I mean, look at the end card. I'm struggling with this myself because I like to put the end card up at the end with links on how you can find me and where you can see my last video, and there's a whole bunch of different calls to action, maybe too much. I'm trying to dial that in. But a lot of people, when they hit that end card, boop, they drop right off. If you could do something at the end that hooks the audience where they want to watch right up to the end, may not seem a big deal to you that, oh, you got that last extra 15 seconds, might seem trivial. No, not to YouTube. They pay attention to that. Videos that are watched from beginning to end are promoted more within the YouTube ecosystem and the web at large. So pay attention to watch time and do it on a video by video basis. Make it part of your routine. Publish a video, a couple days later, go in and watch that watch time. And then maybe a week or two later, go in and watch the watch time report, because it'll change over time as more and more people watch and the data gets more and more complete. Watch time. That's the single biggest piece of analytics you need to pay attention to.
I'm actually going to talk about what I think is the most important part of your analytics, and that is your retention time. Your retention time has a lot of effect on everything that happens to you on YouTube. If you find you make 10-minute videos and you have a 70% retention time, that means they're watching on average 7 minutes out of 10 of the video. So the key thing to do here is, with that information, break your videos down to 7 minutes and not 10 minutes. Because what's going to happen is, and this is the big kicker, your videos are going to rank higher in search. And your main goal here, if you're really trying to get ahead on YouTube, is to have your videos on the top page. I've followed these rules, and I've found over the last 6 months, any type of video I have, I don't even put the exact title in. Let's say, for example, how to make a cutting board. I type in how to make a cutting board, and that's not the name of my video. But both my cutting board videos are ranking on the first page every time. And that goes for all my projects, or 90% of them or so.
There are a lot of different things you can pull from your analytics, and there's quite a few that are important. One of the main ones I tend to go to, or I'll say two of the main ones I tend to go to, are your audience retention and your traffic sources. Mainly the traffic sources. I like to see where I share my video or where people have linked to my video from, where those views are coming from, because that's important. You can weed out the places that sharing's not effective, whether it be on Twitter, Google+, Facebook, Reddit, anywhere. You can really get a sense of what places work and what places don't. And sharing your video around is an important part of having a channel, because you have to get your content out there to other people that haven't subscribed to your channel. So to me, and this is just my opinion, the best piece of information you can pull from your analytics is your traffic sources.
Obviously, most people go to their analytics if they're, they want to see where their views are coming from. They want to see the source for those views, external websites, whatnot. Who your demographic is, young men, old ladies, whatever it is, it'll tell you your demographic. For me, one of the most important parts of the analytics is actually under traffic sources. There's a number of traffic sources, and one of them is called YouTube search. Now, YouTube is the 4th largest search engine on the internet, and if you're not leveraging YouTube search, then you're missing out on a huge number of potential views. So you want to make sure that your title, your description, and your tags all match and are relevant, not just check out this awesome video. It's how to make a garden bench. And then your tags are garden bench, making a garden bench, how to make a garden bench DIY. And then in the description, you have to make sure that you say making a garden bench at some point, probably right in the beginning. And as long as those 3 things are together, you will rank higher in YouTube search.
So 80% of your viewers are from the US. The first thing I would want to do with that information is add subtitles to my videos, and you can actually go into the Creator Studio and just add them automatically and make sure that they're available for every one of your videos, because people in non-English speaking countries are most certainly maybe trying to click on your videos, but if they can't understand anything you're saying, then of course they're not going to watch it, they're not going to subscribe, and you're going to get no audience retention from them. So again, yes, I would make my videos viewable across the world, and that involves no copyrighted material, which typically means you can't view in Germany or Switzerland. And put subtitles on those videos, and you're going to find that you're going to have a higher percentage rate in non-speaking English countries, and that's really going to boost your views in the future.
I think you could get some useful information out of that, though probably not a whole lot. Maybe if you dug a little bit deeper and looked at it on a month-to-month basis, you could tell if it's just because of a certain video you've just put out, or if it's just the overall lifetime, demographic of your channel is at that 80% rate. Besides that, it's just another chunk of information, just like anything else. You can dig as deep as you want, and you can get pretty deep in analytics. But you just have to take it at what it is. It's basically telling you that most of the people that watch your channel probably speak English. They probably have something in common with American values or American views on things, which would help you if you're trying to create to your audience. It will give you an idea of what stuff they might enjoy, different topics that they might be into at the time. It just depends on what kind of content you're making and what your audience likes. It's a good place to start, and you can go nuts digging into this stuff.
Really, all of this information is just raw data. It is up to you whether or not it is useful to you. Say 80% of your viewers were from Brazil, and you were using imperial measurements for everything. Maybe a lot of those people are having trouble understanding because they deal with metric. So maybe if you want to sell plans with 80% of your viewers in Brazil, you would want to add metric measurements to your plans. Or maybe you think that all of your subscribers are 60-year-old men, but it turns out when you go into analytics that you've got mostly 20-year-olds. And maybe they don't know woodworking as well as you know woodworking. And so they don't know what the machines are that you're using. So maybe you'll have to take a step back and explain things a bit more than you thought you would. And I think knowing your audience is a huge deal. If you don't know who your audience is, it's going to be much more difficult to communicate with them. What it is they like, how long they watch, how long they're interested in listening to you talk. All of those things are invaluable. I probably spend a bit more time in my analytics than I would think was healthy.
I suppose you have to ask yourself, what's the difference between other countries and the United States in the making realm? Well, one thing that comes to mind is the measurement system, imperial versus the metric system. I'm not a big fan of throwing out measurements in maker videos. I would rather you follow up with a downloadable PDF. Even if it's a how-to type video, just keep the measurements to a minimum, or not at all during the build process, and show the process, show the tools, and show the techniques. Really, I don't think it matters at all. I mean, I watch some videos from makers in Europe, and they don't even speak English. I only understand English. Well, and Klingon. But, yeah, I watch them because they have cool techniques. They make cool stuff. Sometimes I like to see the tools they have because not every tool brand in America is available worldwide. So sometimes that's interesting as well. I mean, be entertaining and do what you love. And, you know, if a bunch of your audience is from one country, yeah, you're doing something right. Don't change anything. I don't think it matters at all. I really don't. You know, I don't think you should change your speech. Don't say a boot if your audience is from Canada. You know, don't throw a fake accent. It's all phony. Don't be phony. Be yourself. Speak the way you speak. Use what you have. Be an expert craftsman. Be entertaining. People will watch from wherever they're watching, in whatever percentage from whatever countries they're watching from. Means nothing.
I want to leave you with one more thing before we close out this video, and that is something that Matt Haas brought to my attention here recently, and that is, if you want to know a lot more about analytics, more than what we could tell you in this video or what anybody could probably tell you in one single video, YouTube does have the Creator Academy where you can go do boot camps and different things like this, or get they have different courses and stuff you can take that'll help you really dive into this stuff and find out a lot more about it. And I'll make sure I link to that in the description below.